All right, so we got a new fragrance from Swiss Arabian. It's going to be a part of their Shaghaf Oud line. This is Shaghaf Oud Tonka from Swiss Arabian. All right, so this is going to be a sort of inspired by or clone fragrance for BDK's Velvet Tonka. And as you can see, this comes in the same sort of presentation that you get with the other Shaghaf Oud fragrances, except this is going to be like this sort of kind of light blue, bluish greenish sort of color, pretty much. You have here on the front like this little plaque, says Shaghaf Oud Tonka limited edition. It's an eau de parfum, and you've got Swiss Arabian down here. Nothing on the tops or the bottoms of the box, also nothing on both sides. Then on the back here you have like your production date for the fragrance, ingredients and stuff like that. Fragrance opens up like that and it sits in here coffin style. And pretty much, I mean, you get the same type of, Shaghaf Oud bottle that you get with the other ones in the line, except this one is this color, as you can see. So Shaghaf Oud Tonka, Swiss Arabian. You've got like these little X's that you see on both the cap and on the back of the bottle here. And then also on the bottom of the bottle, you also have the production date as well. Cap is definitely strong enough for you to pick this fragrance up by the cap, so no worries on that. And then the atomizer is like a gold atomizer, and it actually shoots out a pretty decent amount of juice. So really good atomizer on the Shaghaf Oud fragrances. So in terms of the two fragrances, I'm just gonna start off with the notes first. So for the BDK has top notes of almond and orange blossom, and then in the mid you have tobacco and rose oil, and the base you have tonka bean, bourbon vanilla, amberwood, and amorous. All right, so those are the top notes for the BDK. And then for the Shaghaf Oud Tonka, in the top notes you just have almond for this one, and then in the mid you have cinnamon, Tunisian orange blossom, and Turkish rose, and in the base you have tonka bean, vanilla, and amberwood. So there's slight differences in the notes. Obviously you have the different sort of rose note. There's no tobacco in this one. Instead, this one has cinnamon, and then there's also no amorous in this fragrance. But with those sort of slight differences, you're really not going to notice too many differences, I would say, between these two fragrances. So I would say these are going to be at least about 90% close to each other for the most part. I would say when you first spray on the Velvet Tonka, this definitely, you can tell this is like a high-end niche fragrance because you don't really get any sort of alcohol harshness or whatever when you first spray this fragrance on. With this, you do get that a little bit. I would say it probably lasts about 10 seconds or so, and then you start to get that sort of smooth, slightly sweet, kind of, almost sort of metallic sort of almond note. I feel like that's what you get pretty much with this one. But yeah, at least for like the first 10 seconds or so, if you just spray this on and go right into it, it is going to kind of burn your nose a little bit until it sort of settles down. So, I mean, that's to be expected with a fragrance that costs about $40 to $50 as opposed to a fragrance that costs like around $200. All right. So those are the initial differences that I would say that you get between the two fragrances. And then pretty much I would say after that initial opening blast, one thing that you'll notice is the Swiss Arabian, in my opinion, will definitely be just a tad bit sweeter than what the BDK is overall. And I feel like that just comes from like the Swiss Arabian having the cinnamon note in the mid as opposed to the tobacco. And also I feel like the Tonka is maybe sweetened up a little bit more, I would say, in the Shaghaf Oud Tonka as opposed to the Velvet Tonka from BDK. Now, pretty much, I would say if you're wanting to kind of know like what this scent profile sort of smells like, I would say probably the fragrances that I would, best kind of compare, these two fragrances to would be fragrances like Guerlain's Tonka Imperial. I would say that's probably like the one that I would really compare, these two, the most for the most part. Definitely I would say the Guerlain is more, I would say, Tonka heavy or whatever. It does have a more of an emphasis on Tonka bean than anything. Now, I do think the Tonka Imperial does also have almond in that fragrance, but I would say the almond note is not nearly as present as what it is in the Shaghaf Oud Tonka or the BDK Velvet Tonka. So those are the differences that I would say that, you can definitely pick out between those two fragrances. Also, I feel like Tonka Imperial, and again, I'm not 100% sure about this, but I believe that fragrance has like an incense note in it. So Tonka Imperial kind of has more of sort of like a smoky sort of feel to it than what these two do. I would definitely say that these two are going to be, in my opinion, more kind of on the sweeter side. This one being a little bit more aromatic than what the Shaghaf Oud Tonka is. This one, I would say, you could possibly say is slightly more thicker than, what you get with this fragrance. All right. Also, again, with this one having that tobacco note in it, I feel like that's what sort of gives it a sort of slightly less sweet and more kind of aromatic feel to it, as opposed to this one having that cinnamon note. Now, with this one having cinnamon in it, it doesn't make this like a super spicy scent, in my opinion. It doesn't give it like a super like Middle Eastern type of feel to it. So if you're someone that I guess maybe doesn't like that about Middle Eastern fragrances, I feel like, as long as you're kind of familiar with the way that Velvet Tonka smells and you like this fragrance, then I think more than likely you're also really going to like this one as well. The differences between the two are, I would say, extremely minimal. And I would say they're really only going to be differences that you'll notice if you spray them, on your hand and kind of sniff them really, close up and kind of go back and forth and really try to dig for those differences. Outside of that, I feel like probably in the air, if you smell someone wearing Velvet Tonka and then you smell them wearing, Shaghaf Oud Tonka, I don't think that you would be able to know that they were wearing two different fragrances. All right. Now, in terms of the performance on this is amazing. So I feel like the projection on this, at least to the wear of the fragrance, I feel like this is probably something that you slightly go nose blind to, because I feel like it projects, but at least to the wear, the way that you perceive it, it doesn't really feel like it's projecting that much, but it absolutely is. I would say though, the main thing that this one, has a really good, performance number on is like the sillage. So the sillage on this fragrance is very good. This is absolutely going to be something that's going to hang in the air. When you walk into a room or leave a room, it is something that's going to kind of stick around. So, definitely if you like your fragrances to leave a really nice scent trail, this is absolutely going to be, one fragrance that you'll want to pick up. Also, longevity wise, this is going to be 12 plus hours. I'll just say that. For the most part, I feel like this is a fragrance that you could go at least probably 18 to 20 hours. And, if you don't shower it off, it will, kind of remain on your skin. And it'll be present enough to where you absolutely smell it without necessarily having to do like this or like lift up your shirt and smell it. This is going to be a fragrance that you'll absolutely be able to smell over 12 plus hours later. So performance wise, again, this is absolutely an amazing fragrance. And I mean, so is the BDK Velvet Tonka. This also, performs really nicely as well on me. I feel like though, because this one has a slightly sort of thicker feel to it, at least on me anyway, this one seems to last just a little bit longer than what the BDK does, and it seems to be a little bit more present, in my opinion, than what the BDK is. So again, man, if you're worried about performance with this fragrance, if you're worried about this one maybe being weaker than, you know, what the BDK is, that's absolutely not the case. This is absolutely a beast mode performing fragrance for sure. I would say that this isn't as nuclear as like what the Shaghaf Oud Azrak is, but it's just the nature of what this fragrance is. I feel like this fragrance is supposed to be more of sort of like a slightly lighter and more kind of aromatic, you know, kind of more so like hang in the air type of fragrance. Whereas the Shaghaf Oud Azrak, I feel like it's supposed to be more kind of like a explosive type of fragrance. All right. Now, if you're worried about this fragrance being, you know, like a feminine fragrance, I would say that this is going to be a unisex fragrance, but it's slightly sort of feminine leaning. In my opinion, I don't have any problem wearing this fragrance at all. I don't feel like it leans too feminine to the point where I would feel uncomfortable wearing it. You know, again, I feel like if you wear fragrances, or if you like fragrances like Tonka Imperial from Guerlain, or like even like Ambre Nuit from Dior, I feel like if you are okay with wearing fragrances like that, then you absolutely should not have a problem with wearing a fragrance like this. This is definitely going to be sweeter than what Ambre Nuit is. And I would even say it's going to be a little bit sweeter than, you know, what Tonka Imperial is as well. But it's not, I would say, too sweet to the point where it's, you know, feminine, and it also doesn't have like a super like floral aspect to it either. Not in my opinion anyway. All right. So overall, man, if I'm going to give this one a rating on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm going to have to give this one at least a 9 out of 10, man. This is a really amazing fragrance, especially for the price. I believe last night I saw this on Joma's shop for like around $45 plus shipping. I think Joma's shop does actually have these in their warehouse in stock right now. So I would say that's probably going to be the best place to get this one from. I initially had ordered this from Joma's shop on December 22nd, and they actually didn't have this in their warehouse. And I mean, they waited like 3 weeks to tell me that. So once they told me that, and they said it was going to be like another 2 to 3 weeks, you know, before they actually had them, I just canceled it with them and ordered this through perfumeonline.ca. They were able to get this out to me in like a week or so. So I'll have multiple links to where you can, you know, purchase this fragrance. But this is a very, very nice release from Swiss Arabian. And I would say this is going to be a very nice gift, I believe, you know, for, you know, maybe, you know, like your wife or girlfriend. But also this is, I would say, a nice fragrance for even a man to wear as well. You know, so if you're a woman, you know, maybe looking for a nice gift to give them, you know, a man to wear, you know, I would also say, you know, this is definitely going to be something that a man can wear as well. And it's going to have like a really nice sort of sexy aromatic appeal to it. All right. So definitely, man, again, check this one out. This is going to be Shaghaf Oud Tonka from Swiss Arabian. Let me know in the comments, man, have you all smelled the Shaghaf Oud Tonka? And if you have you also smelled Velvet Tonka from BDK? And how close do you think the two fragrances come to each other in terms of closeness of smell? All right. So let me know in the comments below, man. And again, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. Also leave a like on the video. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.